This video isn't a review, it's a guide to the basic 3D printing tools in this kit and what they are used for. Hello, welcome to my Tech Fun. This video is mostly for beginner users because I want to explain basic 3D printing tools. Here at home I have basically almost every of these tools which I will mention in this video, but I noticed on my workplace my equipment is quite limited. And I found this kit on Amazon, so I bought it myself. This is not a sponsored video by this company, but this video and the whole channel is sponsored by Polymaker. This will not be really a review of exactly this toolkit, but mostly I want to explain how to use these basic 3D printing tools. On the back side of this packaging, we can see an interesting grouping: before printing tools, 3D printer nozzle cleaning tools, model removal tools, measurement tools, and post-processing tools. And in my chapters I will follow exactly this order. This is the front side, but let's see what's inside. And this is why I chose this kit. Everything is packed in this nice bag. This is the top layer. And this is the bottom layer. But let's start one by one. The card, this product is covered by 12-month warranty. Good to know. Let's start with the before printing tools. Solid glue stick, transparent PTFE tube, cutter, and thermal and hygrometer. About the stick, it is useful in two cases. First, if you have very bad adhesion with your print surface, well, sometimes it is just enough to wash that surface, but sometimes a glue stick can help. And there is another case, for example with TPU, the adhesion may be too good, and to avoid damaging of the surface, you can use a glue stick as a separator agent. PVA-based glue sticks you can probably buy in your local store too, and they're good because after the printing you can wash them with the hot water. Now I don't wash them immediately. I use them for, 5 or 6 printings. Maybe I just fix some surfaces where I remove the object, and only then I wash the plate and I'm placing a fresh layer of the glue. Transparent PTFE tube. Nowadays I'm using it only to connect, for example, the filament dryer with the 3D printer, or maybe if I'm using the external spool holder with some carbon fiber filament. In that case it has quite big friction and I want to protect that coupler which is on the printer, and I place a small piece of this PTFE tube. Now it is not so important to cut it really under 90-degree angle. But earlier, when we had those Teflon line hot ends, when at the end of this tube was the nozzle, and it was extremely important to cut this under 90-degree angle, because in that case you don't have the gap between the tube and the nozzle. And for this kind of cutter was very important. And this should be under 90-degree angle. Indoor thermal and hygrometer. It has some support. And also magnets, probably. Yes. There is a switch, I'm not sure is there any battery. There is a battery inside, which is protected. Now I can turn it on. Now it is in Fahrenheit, maybe. Yes, now it is in Celsius. Now only I don't like here that I don't have the peaks, because this is useful for your filament. It is not good if the humidity is too big. And now we had some rain and it is quite big value. So if I want to print with those filaments which was on open air, I want to dry them a little bit. This is the one which I use at home, and here we can see the relative humidity and temperature and also the peaks. And here I can reset, and from that it is collecting again the peaks, the maximum and minimum. Let's move to the nozzle cleaning tools. Nozzle cleaning needles and storage tube. And I can see they are similar size, so probably for 0.4mm nozzle. And I don't use them too often, but at least 2 or 3 times per year I have to use them. If I have a clog in a nozzle, in that case, if I'm lucky, then I can clean it with this needle. If not, then after the cleaning from one side, I have to use the cold pull from the other side. Search on the internet what does it mean. So they are quite useful if you need them. Two cleaning brushes. This one is soft brass for cleaning the nozzle, and soft brass will not damage the nozzle. And this one is, well, they call it for the dust cleaning, and it has plastic head. And we have two wrenches. This one is for hot end, 20mm size. Most of the hot ends are this size, but I saw some different versions too. And this is for the, well, they call it a multi-wrench for the nozzles. 5, 6, 7mm, because we have different size of the nozzles. With this wrench you are holding the hot end and you are untightening the nozzle. Be careful, because you have to do this when it is warmed up, and also if you are tightening the nozzle you have to do this when it is heated up. So be careful with your fingers, and this will heat up quite quickly, so you have to be fast and don't over tight the nozzle. That's why to beginner users I suggest using some kind of torque wrench, because you have to use approximately 1.5 2 Newton meters or something like that. So don't over tight the nozzle. Nowadays printers usually have different solutions. You just sometimes you can do without any tools, or you just need to remove 2 screws and something like that. This is for the old versions, like I know Ender 3, Prusa Mark 3 and similar. In the nozzle cleaning tools, I would include the tweezers too. We have them in a kit, but they are mentioned on the post-processing part. But basically the tweezers I'm using more for cleaning the nozzle instead of the post-processing. But more about it later. Model removal tools, 2 scrapers, plastic and from stainless steel. Well, sometimes the object will stick too good to the bed and then you have to remove it. Earlier it was really a big problem when we used those glass beds, because nowadays you can flex the bed, and with this you can easier remove those bigger parts too. But sometimes smaller parts, brim or supports, will stay on the bed and you have to remove them. You should always start with the plastic scraper, and here we have even 10 spare blades. If it doesn't help, then you can try with the stainless steel version, but be very careful with this, don't damage the plate. There is a side which you can align down, and then you can slowly move it to remove the purge line or something like that. Sometimes I'm using these flash cutters. For example, imagine I have a square, then I can start with the one side and move it a little bit, raise it, and then I can remove the whole part. But with this I have to be extremely very careful not to damage the plate. Next group, measurement tools. Digital caliper, it arrives with a battery, but I can see I have to use a screwdriver. Ah, there is one. I was searching in the bag. Oh, there is one inside already, so this is a spare battery. So to activate this one, I just have to pull out the insulation layer. Ah, it's working now. Okay. The accuracy is 0.1 millimeters, and we can switch between millimeters and inches. We can zeroing. You always have to close it and press the 0 or see if it shows the 0. And additionally, you should check is there any dirt between. But of course, for this accuracy, this is not so important. You can check this by turning it to the window or some light source behind, and then to see if there is any gap or not. And with these bigger jobs, you can measure outer dimensions. With smaller jobs, you can measure inner dimensions, like inner diameter. And this is depth meter. And with this version, we have a step meter too. We can see because these are surfaces now aligned. And with this, we can measure the step. Now, let me demonstrate you somehow. .1 millimeters. Well, calipers are my passion, and I have much better quality even on my workplace, but this one I will give to my wife. And also we have this small cutting mat with the ruler. The size is 22 by 15 centimeters, and well, it looks like both sides are in centimeters, so maybe they should use one side in inches for the users in the USA. And they're very good, because if you need to do some cutting, you can do it on this surface and you will not damage the desk, for example. And our post-processing tools, and this list is the longest. craft knife, and it includes 10 blades too. It's very sharp, so be careful with it, and for this cutting mat will be very useful. And let me show you how to change the blades. You have to lose this part, you can take it out, insert a new one, and tighten it back. Finishing file set, 5 pieces. Different cross-section, triangle, circle, and similar. For example, you want to fix some holes, bridging inside the holes because the screw doesn't fit inside, or these are the overhangs. Or there are some flat surfaces and you have some elephant foot there, or maybe marks from the brim. So very useful tools, and I'm using them regularly. And what I'm missing from this kit is some kind of sandpaper. And then we have different tweezers. And to be honest, I don't really like these sharp versions, straight or curved. My favorite are these flat versions. Even for the cleaning of the nozzle, I'm using this kind of type. You have to be careful with these types, they are very sharp. Deburring tool, and we have 5 blades for this. The inserting is very simple. Pull this ring back, insert the blade, and it should rotate as normal. Now with the metal working, I'm using the deburring tool to fix the holes after drilling. But in 3D printing, I'm using it mostly for removing the brim. Don't be confused with this benchy, one half is coated with epoxy resin just for some experimenting. And I already mentioned the flash cutter. Specification of this cutter is that on one side the blade is very close to that flat surface. It's this side in this case, and I can do some cutting very close to some flat surface and the part will not stick out after the cutting. For example, my layer adhesion test objects are usually connected for easier printing, and with this I can cut off this part very close to the surface. But of course it is very useful for cutting the filament. Sometimes you want to cut it under 90-degree angle, sometimes under 45-degree angle. Precision diagonal pliers, very useful for removing the supports, especially if they are somewhere which is hard to access with the normal pliers or with your fingers. Finger protection covers, 4 pieces. Almost too small for me. Earlier I used these kind of things, but made from the silicone. It was very easy to place on my fingers when I use a 3D pen. And then with my fingers I can remove some oozing from the nozzle. Theoretically we can use this for the 3D printing tool, but I don't like to use my fingers in this case. I would suggest you to use the tweezers for this. Hand drill bit set. Made from high-speed steel. I could drill even some regular steel with this. And interesting, this small step I don't have even at home, so I think I will keep this set here. Loose it, insert the drill bit and tighten it. Let me give an example where I'm using this kind of tools. This is manually, so you have to rotate it with your hand. You can support it here. And for example, you want to print some hole for 3mm screw. In that case, that hole should be approximately 2.7, 2.8 millimeters. And the 3D printing is never so precise. And sometimes you print the holes in vertical and horizontal position. And using, for example, 2.8 millimeter drill bit, you can clean that hole and it will be in the exact size you need. I know a little bit different video, and I know that most of my viewers are quite experienced users, but let me know if I could give you at least one new information. About this kit, I really like it. As I mentioned, this is not a sponsored video. I bought this kit myself because it is small and compact. Everything is in this one bag, which I will take to my workplace. But this video is sponsored, already mentioned, by Polymaker and of course by my Patreon supporters. I will place an affiliate link directly to this kit which I bought on Amazon.com. Yes, not on DE, because I have some gift points. I'm not sure if this is available on European version too, but you can use my link or you can just search for similar kits. Thank you for watching this video until the end, and as always, happy printing!